What's up? Welcome, Brian Reeves. Maybe you're just discovering me, or maybe you've been following me for many years. But I want to welcome you to my new weekly newsletter. This is intended to, my new weekly video newsletter. This is intended to be just raw, invite you in more to what I'm challenged by, what I'm inspired by, what ideas are lighting me up, what confrontations I am having. If you're just getting to know me, I'm the author of the book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her. I'm a relationship coach, I'm a men's coach, and the theme of this week's video newsletter and my newsletter, which by the way, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter to make sure you get these, do that at my website, brianreeves.com. It's Brian with a Y, Reeves, REEVES.com. The theme of this newsletter is transitions. This past year, my wife and I experienced a loss that devastated us. It was something neither of us ever anticipated experiencing. We're not ready to talk about it publicly. We're still moving through our own grieving and processing experience with that. But it changed everything for us. It threw us into a crisis of belonging. I mean, it's the kind of thing that can ruin couples. And gratefully, it brought me and my wife actually closer together. And that's because we lean into relationship. We've learned over many years of making all the mistakes, the skills and the practices and the commitments, not to a person, but to relationship, to being relational. Speaking of transitions, we actually came to my my childhood home to stay with my mom and my stepfather, and but to be embraced by these woods. I grew up in these woods as a kid, and after what we've been through this past year, we both needed family and nature to hold us and support us. In fact, I invite you to listen into a recent episode of Men This Way. I think it's episode number 111, where my wife and I, Sylvie, some of you may know her, Sylvie Kukasian, the exquisite, extraordinary, brilliant, talented, gorgeous Sylvie Kukasian. She and I did an episode on my podcast, Men This Way, where we talk about the challenges that we faced early in our relationship. Strongly encourage you to listen to that. A link to that will be in my newsletter. You can also find it on my website or on any podcast app. Men This Way is the podcast name. And I did a second episode 112, with my friend Johnny L. Sasser. He and I dove into a really profound conversation about the work that I do with men and relationships. And we talked about the reasons men check out of relationship and struggle with intimacy, and how to powerfully check back in. And just like my book, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her, in these 2 episodes of Men This Way, you really get insight into what it looks like to really show up for relationship. Not just show up for another person, but to show up for love, to lean into the challenges of intimacy and relationship. And I'll tell you, given what my wife and I went through this past couple year and a half, without that awareness, without skills, it would have destroyed us. But gratefully and gracefully, our experiences brought us closer together. And even though it threw us into a crisis of belonging, like not knowing where it's my little one. Not knowing where we belong in the world. We left our home and we've been here in Maryland for a couple of months, and we're likely returning to some old stomping grounds back on the West Coast. It's a big transition. It's been a really challenging one for me personally. I have fought and kicked and cried and raged at life, and in occasional unskillful moments at my wife. But as we say in my Elevate Your Relationship program, the magic is in the repair. So, any unskillfulness we repair quickly, so as not to build resentment and breakdown and disconnect. But boy, it's been a doozy. as we say in the business. I've got another transition that I'm really excited to announce, but that's going to be next Thursday. Next week, my podcast, Men This Way, is entering a new era, something that I'm so excited about, and I think is going to bring so much value to my listeners. Something really unique, but I'm just teasing it, so I gotta eat my words and swallow them. I want to give the secret away, but next Thursday, stay tuned for that announcement on Men This Way. So it'll start with episode 113. So I'll leave you with a quote from Joseph Campbell that I'm really thinking about these days, deeply touched by, and that is, we must let go of the life we have planned so as to accept the life that is waiting for us. Please know this is a dialogue that I want to be in with you. I want to know if you listen to those, either of those episodes of my podcast, please, leave a message here. Send me an email. You can reach me at Brian with a Y, Brian at menthisway.com. And again, if you want to sign up for these newsletters, just go to brianreeves.com and subscribe to my newsletter there.